People rarely tell you when they dislike you. Open hatred is risky. It exposes intentions. It creates enemies too early. So most people choose a safer weapon, concealment. They smile, they nod, they agree. But inside, resistance is growing. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He warned that the most dangerous enemies are not those who shout, but those who whisper loyalty while secretly hoping for your fall. If you want power, safety, and control over your social world, you must learn to read what is hidden, not what is spoken. Dislike never stays silent forever. And it escapes through behavior, timing, tone, and silence. When someone truly supports you, their actions align naturally. When someone secretly resents you, their actions become inconsistent. They delay you. They subtly weaken you. They drain your momentum without ever openly attacking. This is why understanding hidden dislike is not paranoia. It is survival. Notice how some people never directly oppose you, yet somehow nothing moves forward when they are involved. Plans stall. Energy drops. Opportunities vanish. This is not coincidence. This is not coincidence. When someone dislikes you but hides it, they avoid confrontation while still protecting their own position. They will never challenge you openly because that would reveal their hand. Instead, they create friction disguised as confusion, concern, or indifference. Machiavelli believed that human nature is predictable under pressure. People act in their own interest first, then justify it later with morality. A person who dislikes you will frame their resistance as logic, fairness, or neutrality. They will say they are just being honest or just thinking practically, while quietly undermining your confidence or authority. Pay attention to how information flows. Supportive people share information freely. Hidden enemies withhold it. They forget to tell you important details. They claim they assumed you already knew. This is not forgetfulness. This is control. Information is power, and those who dislike you will never give you power willingly. Watch how they react to your success. True allies feel inspired or proud. Hidden haters feel threatened. They downplay achievements. They change the subject. They give compliments that feel hollow, followed by subtle reminders of your flaws. Machiavelli warned that envy is the shadow of success. The more you rise, the more carefully resentment hides. Notice also their body language when you speak. Their words may agree, but their attention wanders. Their eyes disconnect. Their posture closes. They listen not to understand, but to wait for their turn to regain control. When someone dislikes you secretly, they tolerate your presence, not your influence. Another leak is timing. They are supportive when it costs them nothing, but absent when support requires risk. When you need them most, they are suddenly busy, unavailable, or neutral. Machiavelli would say this is the clearest test of loyalty. Observe who stands with you when advantage is uncertain. Hidden dislike also appears through false concern. They warn you excessively. They highlight risks more than possibilities. They plant doubt while pretending to protect you. This is one of the most dangerous forms of resistance because it sounds wise, but wisdom builds courage. Hidden dislike builds hesitation. Silence can be louder than insults. When your ideas are ignored, when your messages go unanswered, when your presence feels tolerated rather than welcomed, you are not imagining it. Machiavelli advised leaders to watch not only what is said, but what is avoided. Avoidance reveals fear, and fear reveals opposition. Understand this clearly. People who secretly dislike you do not want to destroy you openly. They want you to destroy yourself through doubt, through delay, through isolation, through exhaustion. This is why emotional discipline is essential. Reacting emotionally gives them exactly what they want: exposure of your weakness. The correct response is not confrontation. Confrontation forces them to deny, retreat, and adapt. The correct response is observation and distance. Reduce their access. Limit what they know. Keep your plans private. Machiavelli taught that power grows in silence, not explanation. When you stop seeking validation from those who secretly oppose you, their influence collapses. They feed on your need for approval. When that disappears, so does their leverage. Calm detachment is not weakness. It is strategic superiority. Remember, not everyone who smiles is a friend, and not everyone who stays silent is neutral. Some are simply waiting. Machiavelli would say, never assume loyalty, test it. Never fear hidden enemies, study them. And never expose your strength to those who secretly wish you were weaker. If you master this awareness, you stop being vulnerable. You move differently, you speak less, you observe more. And slowly, without conflict, you step out of reach of those who never wanted you to rise in the first place. There is another truth most people refuse to accept. Hidden dislike often comes from those closest to you. Strangers have no reason to hide resentment. They gain nothing from pretending. But people near you, colleagues, friends, even allies, have something to lose: access, comfort, position. That is why their dislike wears a mask. Machiavelli warned that familiarity breeds not contempt but competition. When people see your growth up close, they compare it to their stagnation. Comparison creates pressure, creates resentment, and resentment, when combined with fear, becomes silent opposition. Watch how certain people react when you assert boundaries. Those who secretly dislike you will test them. Not aggressively, but persistently. They will ignore small limits, then act surprised when corrected. This is not accidental. It is a probe. They are measuring how much resistance you will tolerate. Disrespect rarely starts loud. It starts subtle. A delayed reply, a joke at your expense, a decision made without consulting you. Each act is small enough to deny, but repeated enough to condition you. Machiavelli understood that power erodes gradually, not suddenly. Pay attention to how your name is used in your absence. Hidden enemies shape narratives when you are not present. They speak ambiguously. They leave room for doubt. They say things like, "I'm not sure what his intention was," or "maybe he didn't think it through." This protects them while damaging you. Another sign appears when people agree too quickly. Too quickly. Excessive agreement is often a disguise. When someone never challenges you, never questions you, never offers real feedback, they may not be loyal. They may be disengaged. Machiavelli believed that honest resistance is safer than false obedience. Notice how they respond when others praise you. Their discomfort shows. They interrupt. They redirect credit. They suddenly remember a flaw. Praise threatens their internal hierarchy, and hidden dislike is often rooted in fear of losing rank. Silence after your success is also revealing. Supportive people reach out. Hidden haters withdraw. They need time to recalibrate, to protect their ego, to regain emotional balance. Their distance is not peace. It is recalculation. Machiavelli taught that people rarely attack strength directly. They wait for moments of vulnerability, when you are tired, emotional, distracted. That is when hidden dislike becomes active. Small discouragements appear. Doubt is introduced casually. Weakness is exploited quietly. This is why consistency terrifies hidden enemies. When you remain calm, steady, and unpredictable in your emotional reactions, they lose leverage. They cannot provoke you. They cannot read you. And what cannot be read cannot be controlled. Never over-explain yourself to those who secretly oppose you. Explanation is exposure. The more you explain, the more material they gather. Machiavelli believed that mystery is a form of armor. Speak less. Let outcomes speak for you. Distance does not mean hostility. It means selectivity. Reduce emotional access. Share less personal struggle. Keep your victories modest and your plans private. Those who genuinely support you will remain. Those who feed on hidden resentment will fade. Understand this. You do not need to confront every hidden enemy. Time and success confront them for you. Most people cannot maintain fake loyalty forever. Their behavior eventually betrays them. Machiavelli would say, the wise man does not rush to expose enemies. He lets them reveal themselves. He watches patterns, not moments. He judges actions, not words. When you stop trying to be liked, you become respected. And when you are respected, hidden dislike loses its power. Respect creates distance. Distance creates safety. The ultimate mistake is assuming goodwill by default. Power requires awareness, not suspicion. Awareness. When you see clearly, you move carefully. And when you move carefully, you become difficult to undermine. Hidden dislike is not a threat once you understand it. It becomes information. And information in Machiavelli's world is the highest form of control. One of the most uncomfortable realizations in life is that dislike does not always come from something you did wrong. Often it comes from something you did right. Growth makes people nervous. Confidence unsettles those who survive on doubt. Independence threatens those who rely on control. Machiavelli understood that power shifts are rarely announced. They are felt, and when people feel themselves losing relevance, they react quietly. Hidden dislike sharpens when you stop needing people. Dependence creates comfort. Independence creates fear. When someone realizes you can move forward without their approval, their tone changes. They become colder, more distant, more critical, not because you harmed them, but because you escaped their influence. Watch how some people only support you when they are needed. The moment you no longer require their help, their enthusiasm fades. This is not friendship. This is utility. Machiavelli would say, "Those who serve only when they are useful are loyal to themselves, not to you." Another leak appears in how they remember your past. Hidden dislike often digs up old mistakes, not to help you grow, but to keep you small. They remind you who you used to be when you were trying to become something more. This is psychological anchoring, a subtle way to limit your expansion. Pay attention to energy exchange. After interacting with supportive people, you feel clearer. After interacting with hidden enemies, you feel drained, confused, heavy. That is not accidental. Emotional friction is a signal. Machiavelli believed the body often recognizes threats before the mind accepts them. Notice how they respond to your silence. When you stop sharing, stop explaining, stop seeking feedback, hidden dislike becomes restless. They feel cut off from information. They attempt to re-enter your space through forced concern, sudden interest, or indirect questions. Control craves access. Never underestimate the power of restraint. When you do not react to subtle disrespect, when you do not chase clarity, when you do not demand validation, you shift the dynamic. You are no longer predictable, and unpredictability unsettles those who wish to undermine you quietly. Machiavelli advised rulers to appear accessible but remain unreachable. You can be polite without being open, present without being exposed, calm without being weak. This balance frustrates hidden opposition more than confrontation ever could. Another pattern reveals itself in crisis. When pressure rises, hidden dislike surfaces as indifference. They disappear, they detach, they protect themselves first. Later they return when the danger is past, pretending nothing happened. Machiavelli would say, "Remember who vanished when you needed allies most. Be careful of those who gossip selectively. They share others' flaws with you, but hide their own intentions. Gossip is a rehearsal. If they speak that way about others, they speak that way about you." Hidden dislike thrives in secrecy, not sunlight. There is also a certain impatience hidden enemies have with your boundaries. They act offended when you say no. They frame your self-respect as arrogance. This is projection. Your boundaries remind them that they no longer control the narrative. The most dangerous form of hidden dislike is passive obstruction. No arguments, no fights, just quiet resistance, delayed decisions, missed opportunities. Let's revisit this later. Machiavelli recognized this as one of the safest methods of sabotage, invisible, deniable, effective. Your response should always be strategic, not emotional. Tighten your circle, reduce your explanations, increase your results. Let progress speak. Those who secretly dislike you cannot compete with consistency. Understand this clearly. Not everyone deserves access to your journey. Some only want a front row seat to your failure. When you limit access, you protect momentum. Machiavelli taught that power is not loud. It is composed. It observes. It waits. It acts when the advantage is certain. If you master this discipline, hidden dislike loses its sting. You no longer fear it. You anticipate it. And once you anticipate it, you stop being reactive. You become deliberate, calculated. Untouchable, the truth most ignore is that hidden dislike is not always about you. It is about them. It is about their fear, their envy, their insecurity. People rarely attack because you are weak. They attack because they cannot accept your strength. Machiavelli understood that fear and envy are far more powerful motivators than anger, and those emotions hide behind smiles, agreements, and polite nods. Observe how they respond to your influence over others. When you command attention, even politely, they shrink in subtle ways. They interrupt slightly. They dismiss ideas with a chuckle. They make jokes that sting more than words should. Their dislike is encoded in micro-behaviors, lines. Those who cannot accept your rise will always try to pull you back without appearing aggressive. Notice the patterns of their commitment. Hidden dislike often shows as selective engagement. They invest effort only when it serves themselves. They disappear when your plans become inconvenient to them. Machiavelli warned that such calculated absence is as dangerous as open hostility. Timing is a weapon. Those who understand it can delay your progress without ever raising a hand. Words also betray hidden dislike. Excessive politeness, Vague compliments and hollow encouragement are not neutral. They are camouflage. Hidden enemies protect themselves by pretending neutrality while subtly implanting doubt. Their advice often comes wrapped in questions rather than statements, making you second-guess every move. This is why awareness is power. Pay attention to subtle mimicry. People who dislike you but hide it often mirror your actions superficially, attempting to appear aligned, yet they overdo it inconsistently. Machiavelli taught that human nature reveals itself through patterns. Observe, compare. The difference between genuine support and hidden dislike is consistency, not words. Body language is a silent battlefield. Eyes that wander, smiles that never reach warmth, posture that closes subtly when you speak. All are signposts. A Machiavellian mind does not ignore these. Words may lie, but the body speaks truth. Hidden enemies reveal themselves in small, almost imperceptible ways if you are willing to see. They will also test your emotional reactions. Provocations come subtly, a delayed response, a careless remark, a minor exclusion. Hidden dislike thrives on reaction. The more you reveal impatience, frustration, or doubt, the more control they gain. Discipline is the shield. Calm detachment is the weapon. Be aware of the long game. Hidden dislike is patient. It does not rush. It observes, calculates, and waits for moments of vulnerability. Machiavelli would say, the wise leader acts not on impulse, but on foresight. Those who secretly oppose you cannot act if you are steady. They cannot succeed if your resolve is unshakable. Even your successes are weapons against hidden dislike. The more you grow silently, the less they can influence you. Envy can mask itself temporarily, but it cannot stand sustained progress. Achievements speak louder than explanations. They erode hidden opposition naturally. Communication is another battleground. Hidden enemies manipulate conversation carefully. They omit, distort, or redirect information to maintain subtle control. Machiavelli advised rulers to never reveal full plans to anyone. Information is power, and selective sharing is protection. Those who dislike you secretly cannot harm what they cannot access. Remember this: hidden dislike is not always malicious in action, but it is always strategic in effect. Every subtle delay, every hollow compliment, every diverted gaze is part of a silent campaign. To survive and thrive, you must observe without prejudice, act without emotion, and maintain control without exposure. Distance and discretion are your allies. Protect your ambitions quietly. Share minimally. Judge motives through behavior, not words. Machiavelli taught that mystery is armor. The less visible you are to the judgment of those who oppose you secretly, the stronger you become. Ultimately, mastery over hidden dislike is mastery over yourself. When you no longer need approval, when you no longer react impulsively, when your energy is conserved and your attention selective, hidden enemies cannot touch you. Their power exists only as long as you allow them a foothold. Take that away, and they vanish silently impotent. There is a final truth that many fail to grasp. Hidden dislike is often louder than open hatred, but it whispers, it lingers, it shapes the environment subtly. It sets traps you cannot see at first glance. Machiavelli knew that those who whisper while smiling are often far more dangerous than those who scream openly. They give you no chance to prepare. They strike through doubt, hesitation, and distraction. The key is observation. Watch the space between words. Watch the pauses, the glances, the shifts in tone. Notice who seems present when it costs them nothing, and who vanishes when presence matters. Hidden dislike is patient. It studies patterns and waits for weakness. It does not rush. It does not warn. And most of all, it thrives on your ignorance of its existence. Never mistake politeness for support. People who dislike you secretly can be courteous, even charming. They avoid open conflict because exposure would risk their advantage. Their goal is not to confront you, but to manipulate the narrative around you, to influence perception without being accountable. Your greatest weapon against hidden dislike is silence and patience. Speak less, act deliberately, and observe constantly. Machiavelli emphasized that power grows when unseen, influence strengthens when subtle, and control is maintained through selective revelation. When you operate this way, hidden enemies lose their foothold. They cannot affect what they cannot predict or interpret. Notice how hidden dislike interacts with success. The quiet observer, the seemingly loyal colleague, the friendly acquaintance. Their subtle envy becomes visible in how they respond to your growth. Compliments feel strained, encouragement is measured, and attention is fleeting. Machiavelli would say that human nature reacts instinctively to those who rise. Envy cannot disguise itself indefinitely. Hidden dislike also tests your focus. They distract, mislead, or delay with subtle tactics. They inject doubt without confrontation. They create confusion while maintaining an appearance of neutrality. This is why clarity of thought and decisiveness are indispensable. The more focused you are, the less room they have to maneuver. Energy management is crucial. After interacting with hidden enemies, notice how you feel. Drained, restless, unsure. This is not coincidence. Negative energy flows from concealed resentment. Machiavelli understood that emotional perception is a tool. If you recognize these subtle cues, you gain a strategic advantage without direct confrontation. Timing is another silent battlefield. Hidden dislike surfaces in moments of stress. They retreat when needed, reappear when convenient. Observe these patterns. Understand that loyalty is tested not in comfort but in adversity. Machiavelli believed that the truly loyal are revealed under pressure. The secretly opposed vanish quietly. One of the most powerful insights is that hidden dislike is rarely personal. It is structural. It is motivated by self-interest, fear, and envy. Recognizing this removes the emotional sting. You do not need to fight every small act of subtle opposition. Instead, anticipate it, adjust your strategies, and conserve your energy for decisive action. Protect your plans, share minimally. Let your results speak louder than explanations. Machiavelli stressed that visibility is dangerous when others wish to manipulate perception. Mystery is armor, and secrecy is power. When you shield your intentions, hidden enemies cannot find leverage. Ultimately, mastery over hidden dislike is mastery over perception. You control what is seen, you manage what is interpreted, and you conserve strength for what truly matters. People who secretly oppose you can only influence you as long as you remain reactive. When you remain observant, disciplined, and deliberate, their influence evaporates. This is the art of navigating hidden dislike. Not with confrontation, not with anger, but with awareness, patience, and strategic detachment. When you understand this, you move through the world untouchable, unshaken, and unthreatened. Machiavelli's wisdom is simple yet profound. The most dangerous enemies are not those who fight you openly, but those who hide while shaping the battlefield around you. And the wise, the disciplined, and the observant will always remain several steps ahead.